and ensuring good governance should take precedence before introducing long-term national development plans.
Mutasikia mastori mengi sana. Story moja ambayo haikubaliki chini ya katiba 2010 ambayo our late president Mwai Kibaki alianzisha na ambayo inashikanisha jamii zote za Kenya. Hiyo katiba haina mahali inasema ugawenye mlima Mount Kenya. It is not possible. Unless unagawanya kwa akili yako mwenyewe, kwa kwenda kokona yako wewe mwenyewe. So sincerely we must have order, and you cannot do that. Haiwezekani. It is not possible. You cannot now, jamii zimekutana, Wakamba, Waembu, Wameru, Wagikuyu, ni jamii moja. So how will you divide them? It is not possible. So let me tell them the truth. So kama watu wanaishiwa na akili, they should not divide. Unite the whole nation under an idea. And the idea is not Vision 2060 ya Bwana Ruto. Vision 2030 ilikuwa ni muundo mpya ambao Kibaki na sisi wenzake tuliangalia tukaona we wanted to make this nation a middle income country and enjoying high quality of life that is elaborated under Vision 2030. Badala ya high quality of life, watoto wanachukua wanawekwa kama Billy Mwangi hapa, anashikwa hapa kwa kona, anawekwa kwa abduction, mpaka baba yake Mwangi tulikutana naye kwa mahakama akalia sana because Billy was not produced. Huyo mzee akasema mimi nilikuwa nikidhani nitakuta mtoto wangu hapa. We were all moved to tears. But of course they had to produce him. That is not Vision 2030. What you need to do, Bwana President, is to make sure that this country lives in accordance with Constitution 2010. Hiyo kwanza tuanze hapo. Of course, Africa nzima have elaborated. This is what you should have, intellectual honesty as well. The whole of the African continent has talked about Vision 2063. Now that is not Kenya. Kenyans have a reason to be realistic and follow what is in the Constitution and not to be guided from Hustler Fund, Sujui Hustler Nation.
President William Ruto has defended his proposed national dialogue on the 2060 vision, saying the initiative is aimed at shaping Kenya's long-term development path despite criticism from his political opponents. Speaking in Uasin Gishu County, President Ruto continued to promote his Vision 2060 agenda while criticizing those opposing his development plans. The president said the long-term strategy seeks to create a clear roadmap for the country's future and encourage national participation in addressing key challenges facing Kenya. And meanwhile, his supporters have it out at the opposition, accusing some political leaders of promoting divisive politics rather than supporting initiatives aimed at uniting Kenyans.
It is not going to be a conversation about leaders. It is not going to be a conversation about political parties. It is not a conversation about 2027. It is a conversation about the future of our country and how together we must drive that vision into the future. The Constitution of Kenya envisages a country that is democratic, a country based on the rule of law, a country that believes in human rights. It also envisages a wealthy and a prosperous nation. Hiyo chapter ya maendeleo ya taifa letu la Kenya haiwezi kufanywa na siri, haiwezi kufanywa na watu wachache, haiwezi kufanywa na serikali peke yake. Wananchi wenyewe watakuja waseme vile maendeleo ya taifa letu la Kenya kulingana na vile katiba inavyosema itaendelea mbele.
Because he wants to appear as if he is running some clandestine security sector. I want to tell the people of Kenya, that man is a con man. Please don't follow the things yenye anasema. Huyo asiwadanganye. Mimi nimekaa na yeye ni con man. Na kwanza akizungusha kichwa hivi anataka kudanganya.
Mimi tukimaliza kunyorosha watu, mimi nitatafuta huyo ndugu yangu ndio nione vile nitamsaidia, kwa sababu hata mimi niko na jukumu kwa sababu ni ndugu yangu. Lakini apunguze matusi sijui kiburi, sijui soprano. Hala, wewe ukiniangalia hivi unaona mimi kama mtu rahisi?
Orange Democratic Movement leaders have expressed support for President William Ruto's Vision 26th agenda, describing it as a key roadmap that could drive transformation in Kenya. Speaking in Kentu Bay, Homa Bay County, ODM leaders led by party leader Oburu Odinga praised the long-term development plan, saying it provides a framework for addressing the country's future challenges. The leaders said the agenda could help us accelerate economic growth, improve livelihoods, and create new opportunities for Kenyans if implemented effectively. The ODM officials also criticized opposition leaders, accusing them of promoting politics without clear development ideas or a vision for the country's future.
2060 was an idea of our late Raila Amolo Odinga. And the team which crafted it was formed by the late Raila Amolo Odinga. And therefore, we are 100% supporting it because it is our idea, it is our contribution to the coalition.
Sasa tuko na mtu mpya anaitwa William Samoei Ruto. Na huyo ndio tunaenda.
Umeshinda kiti moja na tulali. Wacha nikuambie, wacha kiburi, game ni 90. Wale jamii ambao unafikiria ni wadogo, sisi tunajipanga. Sisi tunafanya nini? Tunajipanga. Tunajipanga. Na kuna mwimbaji aliimba, waliokudharau siku moja watakusalimia kwa
Bungoma County Senator David Wafula Wakoli has called on Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale to work with the Kenya National Union of Nurses and the Council of Governors to find an amicable solution to the ongoing nationwide nurses strike. The senator said the prolonged industry action is continuing to disrupt healthcare services, leaving many Kenyans without access to essential medical care. Wakoli urged county governments to take the lead in implementing the collective bargaining agreement, saying governors have a responsibility to address the grievances raised by the nurses. He also called on the Bungoma County government to settle outstanding allowances owed to community health promoters for January, February and March 2025.
Kuna mgomo wa matabibu ama kwa Kiingereza nurses ambao unaendelea katika nchi ya Kenya. Wanadai marupurupu, wanadai hela, wanadai mishahara iliyo bora na mazingira mazuri ya kazi. Hili ni jambo ambalo si lazima tugombane ama tuvutane. Ni jambo la kikatiba, ni jambo ambalo kila mfanyakazi lazima alipwe mshahara unaoendana na kazi anayofanya. Kama ni marupurupu, apewe marupurupu yanayostahili. Na ningeomba serikali kupitia waziri wa afya Mheshimiwa Duale na waziri wa fedha waweze kukaa pamoja, wapate mwafaka kati ya matabibu hawa na serikali ili waweze kurudi katika maeneo yao ya kazi. Lakini zaidi ya hapo, lazima magavana wawajibike. Kikatiba afya iligatuliwa na lazima vile vile hawa madaktari, nurses hawa wawe na vikao na magavana wao katika mashinani, waweze kutatua shida zao kabla hawajasongesha mgomo uwe wa kitaifa. Sasa magavana, kama gavana wangu wa kaunti ya Bungoma, na kuomba kando na kumwombea Mheshimiwa Rais apite kura kwa mara ya pili, ya mishahara ya wale madaktari mashinani kwa kimombo CHPs, miezi minne, April, May, June, July 2025. Makataa ya fedha yalikwisha, lakini bado haujawalipa. Tunakuomba tunapofungua mfumo wa IFMIS wiki linalokuja, tafadhali walipe fedha zao ili waweze kumudu gharama ya maisha na kujipanga katika familia zao. Marupurupu yanayosimamia hospitali na zahanati zetu, tunasema medical administrators katika hospitali zetu. Hiyo hoja niliibua katika bunge, tutakuwa tunamuita waziri tuweze kujadiliana na CRC wale wanaoamua fedha ama marupurupu na mishahara ya wafanyikazi, kwa sababu hawa na wale matabibu wengine wanafanya kazi sawa. kama ni kujianika ama kujisukuma karibu na virusi ama changamoto za kimatibabu, wao pia wanaathirika. Sasa lazima wanapoweka vigezo vya marupurupu mishahara wazingatiwe, wakumbukwe, ili wasifanye kazi shingo upande. Mimi niko Kenya Kwanza, mimi ni mwanachama wa Ford Kenya. Tutauza sera zetu kutetea chama cha Ford Kenya, tutauza sera zetu kutetea serikali ya Kenya Kwanza, kwa sababu ya miradi ya maendeleo ambayo tunatekeleza katika kaunti ya Bungoma na
Residents of Magadi have welcomed the government's decision to close Tata Chemicals, saying the move offers new hope after years of alleged neglect, environmental degradation, and limited community benefits despite the company's extensive land holdings in the area. Speaking after Mining Cabinet Secretary Hassan Ali Joe announced the factory's closure, community leaders said local residents have for decades been sidelined while the area's natural resources continue to benefit others. Community leader Kelvin Koinet accused the company of failing to deliver meaningful social and economic development, alleging that most local youth have been offered only casual or short-term employment instead of permanent job opportunities.
Na sisi hapa Magadi bado sisi tuko ukoloni, hatujapata uhuru, na tunavyojua Kenya ilipata uhuru miaka mingi iliyopita, lakini tunapoingia Magadi, ukifika pale kwa geti, lazima uache ripoti ya kwamba wewe ni nani, lazima uache information yote, na hiyo tunakataa kwa sababu Kenya ilipata uhuru, na hata sisi wana wa Magadi sisi ni wa Kenya na tunastahili kupata uhuru huo, na hata mgeni anapoingia hawezi ingia kwa sababu hawezi pewa kuingia kama hajaacha details zake pale kwa geti. Kwa hivyo tunaomba hata sisi tusikizwe na tuweze kupata uhuru.
Community ama watu wa Magadi wamelia wakati mingi na kujaribu kupigania haki zao katika kampuni ya Magadi, lakini hizo haki hazijaweza kutekelezwa. Na tunaambia serikali ya national pamoja na serikali ya county, na tukiongea pamoja na kampuni tunawaambia haki za wananchi wa Magadi imefika wakati lazima zitekelezwe. Kitu ya kwanza, katika area hii ya Magadi, shamba kubwa lilichukuliwa wakati wa ukoloni na wazungu, na hadi wakati huu bado iko chini ya ukoloni, bado iko chini ya muktaba ambao uliandikwa wakati wa ukoloni. Na tunasema hiyo shamba, isipokuwa area ambayo wanatumia katika kuchimba madini, shamba ingine irudishiwe wenye nchi. Jambo lingine ni kwamba hiyo imetugandamiza kwamba hatuwezi kufanya maendeleo yoyote hapa kwa sababu shamba ni ya kampuni. Hatuwezi jenga town, hatuwezi fanya biashara. Hii area ni mzuri katika utalii, hatuwezi jenga hotels hapa karibu na hii lake kwa sababu ni ya kampuni.
Na leo tumejumuika hapa mbele yenu tukisema yale ambayo tunayopitia kupitia kwa hii kampuni. Tunataka kusema ya kwamba watu wetu ambayo wanaishi hapa karibu, ambayo wametoka Magadi, ndio watu maskini kabisa hata Kenya mzima. Na haifurahishi ya kwamba tuko na kampuni kubwa, ni kinaya sana, tuko na kampuni kubwa ambayo iko hapa, lakini watu wetu ni maskini.
Teso North, a member of Parliament Oku Kaunya, has called on young people to seek advice from elders before making major life decisions, saying consultations is key to promoting unity and building a better future. Speaking at Amagoro Comprehensive School, Kaunya said elders play an important role in mentoring the youth and preserving the values that have helped maintain unity within the Teso community. The lawmaker stressed that young people should embrace guidance from experienced members of the society to make informed choices that benefit themselves, their families, and the wider community.
Na sisi hapa Magadi bado sisi tuko ukoloni, hatujapata uhuru, na tunavyojua Kenya ilipata uhuru miaka mingi iliyopita, lakini tunapoingia Magadi, ukifika pale kwa geti, lazima uache ripoti ya kwamba wewe ni nani, lazima uache information yote, na hiyo tunakataa kwa sababu Kenya ilipata uhuru.
The use of youth for wrong purposes or to break the law
is not the best thing, especially coming from leaders. So I want to appeal to my fellow leaders, we stop using goons in executing our functions. If we have a political duel, let's argue it out. Let's convince the public that you are good, that you have good policies. But let us not use the youth, because a lot of youth who are unemployed are really disadvantaged because they don't have funds. So little money given to the youth causes a lot of problems and a lot of damage. My advice is that elders hold the key to holding the community, doing the right thing. So for the youth, I would advise that let us interact, let us have consult, and then you can be able to take action. Because some of the actions you take can actually have a serious repercussion in terms of even your own development as a youth in the future. So it is good to do something that you know is right. Not just to do because of emotion or because somebody else has told you to do this.
Thank you for watching the first segment of EBN Morning Live. We are coming back shortly with the newspaper review. Please stick around.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Je, unataka biashara yako ifikie maelfu ya wateja? Tangaza biashara yako kupitia runinga ya EBN na uipe biashara yako nafasi ya kuonekana na kusikika zaidi.
The Nation and the Kenya's board newspaper, The Standard, and we're starting with it, where the top story, it's a recipe for rigging, and it's a trust on trial, where a fresh bid to scrap the IEBC's duty to live stream polling station results has triggered alarm ahead of the 2027 general election. The bill, sponsored by Senate Majority Leader Aaron Cheruiyot, Minority Leader Stewart Madzayo, is before the Senate's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee and seeks to remove one of the key transparency safeguards introduced after past disputed polls. Critics say the move would make it harder for the public and the media to independently verify results, fueling fears of electoral manipulation. With the election less than a year away, its timing has intensified suspicion that the changes could benefit President William Ruto if the integrity of the electoral process is compromised. A story from page 4, and we're looking at Stewart Madzayo, Senate Minority Leader. We're also looking at IEBC Chair Edung Ethekon. We're also looking at Aaron Cheruiyot, Senate Majority Leader. A message from Paul Mwite here on the same rigging preparations in plain sight. If rigging fails, unleashing violence is the last nuclear option. Power must be retained. The will of the people is irrelevant. Mabutu and many others have traveled this road. I say this is from Paul Mwite. He is a senior counsel. Continuation of the same will be given it later after this, where the second story or the second page of the Standard, it's all about only 6 out of 10 newborns get life-saving first-hour breast milk. Now, despite progress made in breastfeeding in Kenya, at least 4 out of 10 newborns miss out on first-hour recommended breastfeeding. window. We're looking at also Kenya's exclusive breast feeding stands at 60%. Check that story from page 2 if you're interested. We also look at security, where bandits kill 2 in Isiolo, still adds of livestock health. We're looking at union threatens strike over Mathari nurses push for improved terms. Page 3, we're looking at daughter's house gift sparks bitter family land feud, where 15 years after building a mother home, Rhoda Wanyama watched it reduced to ashes in a land dispute. The incident has sparked a legal and cultural battle over daughter's rights to own ancestral property. You can check that story. Moving all the way to Trans Nzoia, where farmers told to plant short season crops ahead of El Nino rains. Then page 4, it's what we have seen on the top page of the Standard newspaper, where battle looms over plan to scrap live streaming of election results. Eyes on the National Assembly to see if they will agree with the Senate to remove the legal requirements of full live stream. Now, critics warn proposal could weaken public oversight and media scrutiny of polls. Now, transparency is the hallmark of free, fair, and credible elections. The media, as an independent pillar of democracy, plays a vital role in ensuring elections are conducted in confidence. We are looking at politics, where Azimio Council to meet over formula to select candidates to run for president. Then we're looking at former President Uhuru Kenyatta there. You can check that story on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. Then page 5, we're looking at leadership, culture, and creativity take center stage at Music Festival. Now, from violin performances to traditional dances, learners showcase discipline, cultural pride, and leadership skills. Now, beyond entertainment, the festival nurtures future leaders through music, confidence, and cultural expression. We can see Claire Waridi of Moi Education Center performing during the Kenya Music Festival and Kibabii University in Bungoma yesterday. Now, page 6 of the Standard Vision 2060, Ken Ruto build Kenya's future amid a trail of failed projects. Now, Ruto's Vision 2060 ambition is overshadowed by failed projects and costly settlements. Now, question remains over whether the country can successfully execute long-term development goals. Now, we're looking at aerial view of a section of the Nairobi-Nakuru Mau Summit project on November 28th, 2025. Then 600 billion shillings is lost through stalled and poorly managed public projects in Kenya, according to the Project Management Institute, an amount equivalent to about 5% of GDP. Now, we look at developments here, where our CRBC won Kenya's biggest infrastructure deals under Ruto. Page 7, railways, roads, and airports fall apart in middle of building boom, where from port-old highways and neglected rail lines to leaking airport terminals, billions of shillings worth of public infrastructure is deteriorating as maintenance struggles to keep pace with a new construction. Then you can see legal fees linked to cancelled Adani JKIA deal reached 243 million. Then Kenya is slowly becoming a construction site. We are building roads, houses, hostels, because that is how you drive the economy of a country. And this is a statement from President William Ruto, page 8. It's all about 2027, where how regions that made Ruto president are now his biggest test. We are looking at from Mount Kenya to western and northeastern Kenya. President William Ruto faces mounting political challenges. Then key voting blocks that secured his victory are becoming increasingly unpredictable ahead of 2027. We can see President William Ruto addressing crowd in Busia during a recent public rally. Now, unlike previous elections where candidates ended the race with largely guaranteed regional voting blocks, the 2027 contest is shaping up as a battle of persuasion rather than political inheritance. Check the story for yourself. Then we are all going all the way to Kakamega, where Western elders back Sifuna Mudavadi and Wetangula. In Naivasha, Senator Karanja raises concern over rising painting bills. Then all the way to page 9, I will look at Wamunyoro conclave where Gachagwa's group of Mount Kenya was farmed. Through his conclave, Gachagua has met many people from across the country. Many communities are willing to join his party because they see it as a movement that is bringing people together. This is from Kanini Kega, East African Legislative Assembly MP. Page 10, can science predict Kenya's next human-elephant conflict? And remember what happened a few days ago. Then we are looking at new evidence suggesting that protecting wildlife corridors and planning development wisely could be Africa's strongest defense against future human-elephant conflicts. Now, the scale of the problem is mostly large expanses of land in remote localities that are affected, making it resource intensive to intervene even when the predictors of human-elephant conflict are accurate. There's a story stretching all the way to page 11, and a segment of it is the notice from the county government of Kwale, page 12. It's an opinion, and Kenya's needs solution to today's challenges. Vision 2060 is a political deception if promises of Vision 2030 have not been fully realized. This is opinion on the Standard newspaper from Kalonzo Musyoka, Wiper Party leader. Now, we look at the editorial this morning. Judiciary must clean its house to restore trust. That's a story you can also check for yourself. Then on the caricature this morning, you can see it's raining millions inside there. And all right, is this tumbocracy? It's the tumbocracy stupid. Now, you can check that story for yourself, and you can see some members or a member of a certain political party that I don't want to mention. They are arming themselves with a lot of money, or they are carrying a lot of money in briefcases. So you can check that for yourself from the caricature this morning, and you can see the structure behind, or where this guy has just picked the money from, is a structure or is a building that you very well know. So you can check that story from the Standard this morning. Now, we're looking at this diplomacy where Ruto may be the West's blue-eyed boy, but their ads are never free. Now, from page 13 is a collection of letters. You can check that for yourself. Also, on page 14, it's a story later the same. You can check it for yourself. A segment of it is all about education, and page 15 is a collection of stories from what sort on next budget, road safety, suicide crisis, crime, and what sort on from the web. Check that story from yourself on the Standard newspaper. Quickly on the Daily Nation, we are looking at a concern. Increased borrowing goes against Ruto's pledge to rein in runaway public debt. We are 3.5 billion a day borrowing spree, where President William Ruto's government borrowed 416.2 billion from foreign markets in 4 months this year, translating to 104 billion every month. The loans taken about between January 1st and April 30th had deepened a raging financial crisis, with public debt rising to 13 trillion. Now, that is a story from page 4 to 5, and we're looking at some key information here. It's a timeline of the 7 new loans signed in 2026, and this is in shillings. Very quickly, page 6, Feb 6th, 2026, we're looking at International Development Association IDA borrow 29.15 billion funds to address regional disparities in learning outcomes. Then we are looking at Feb 10th, 2026, the borrowing that was done from African Development Fund. This is FD 9.8 billion, promote equitable access to quality higher education, training and research. Then 26th, 2026, and this is Feb, International Sovereign Bond, and this is ISB. The borrowing was 290.49 billion. The reason for it, the borrowing funding earmarked for budgetary support. Then March 17th, 2026, International Development Association IDA, the that was done from the first one. The borrowing was at 3.9 billion. What was the purpose of it? Kitty for climate resilience action. Then we're looking at the first 2026 SMBC Bank International 20.33 billion funding for general budget support. Then we're looking at April 22nd, 2026 International Development Association idea again, 45.34 billion funds to expand access to affordable housing finance. Then we're looking at IBRD Bank, 16.2 billion money to expand access to affordable housing finance. Now, there's a story you can check for yourself. It has a lot of details in figures and you can check it. Then Enda Linda Mwananchi Party plan, you can check it also for yourself. Then we're looking at doctors killers used a stolen car to lay and ambush a story from page 10. Quickly to page 2, we're looking at melody and dance, where students says learning to play litungu has deepened their knowledge of African culture, and this is electrifying shows as music festival begins. That's a story from page 2. Page 3, looking at memories here, where soldiers who crushed the coup relive the battle that restored government control. Now, secrets of 1982 coup attempt, how last minute act saved army heroes. You can check that story for yourself. It's also pictured and you can see it now. We're looking at debt, and this is what I had just done to you. Ruto borrowed 416 billion in 4 months despite anti-debt pledge. That's a story I had done. Then page 5, we're looking at wastefulness, where tendency leads to high borrowing cost characterized by peak interests on government securities, and audits flag 8 billion fees for unused loans. Then it's all about borrowing from the 4th page of the Daily Nation. You can also check more details for yourself. Then we're looking at development here, where head of state insisting on broad-based government as room for all Kenyans and defense vision 2060. Now, Ruto, UDA or the impact here to stay? All right, that's all about politics. You can check it for yourself. Page 7, we're looking at politics, where former President Uhuru to chair crucial Azimio Council meeting. Now, Linda Mwananchi reserved as one of 3 names by Sifuna team. We can see that, and also Kashagwa poking holes into proposed Ruto's Vision 2030 plan. Page 8, we're looking at unrest, where a landmark judgment reinforces students' rights to education and due process after damage to property. Victory for parents Scout outlaws blanked school fines or blanket school fines. Then you can also see Milimani Law Courts pictured there. Page 9, it's a business, and also a notice from the county government of Kwale. Then page 10, we're looking at investigations here, where Dr. Mutiso murder, police probe revived 2-decade court battle, something that we had people had not known. So you can check that story for yourself. Now, mystery deepens in Mlolongo businessman's disappearance, and you can see CCTV footage placed businessman James Manzi Amutava in the company of 2 police officers. Then it's your business again on page 11. We're looking at another story on page 12, where Matatu's right to increase fares during heavy rains. Right now, high cost of rewarding political violence. Then we're looking at page 13. The weather forecast, and this looks like the caricature this morning, where frequent thunders of petrol defections and plenty of handshakes. Actually, this is not a weather forecast as it is. It is weather forecast as far as Kenya's elections are concerned come 2027. Vision in the midst of a trust deficit. You can check that also on page 13. Then VIX grade 10 each to A students agony, and let me not talk more of the same. Then page 14, a collection of letters. Then all the way to 15th page is county news. We're starting with the Elgeyo Marakwet. Grieving families remain displaced, traumatized, and desperate for permanent homes. Landslide survivors fight to rebuild lives 9 months later. That's the end of the newspaper review from the Daily Nation and the Standard newspaper this morning. We are coming up next with a discussion on the state of Kenyan politics. So stick around. Dawn Kautifa.